Hey, good afternoon. Scott Luton, Greg White with you right here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to our live stream here today. Gregory, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you again after your vacation. How are you doing? How
Hey,
are you doing?
you know, we actually got several days of last week to completely unplug and reconnect really with family and the kids and the beach and the local St. Augustine area. So had a great time, but excited to get back in the saddle. We got so many initiatives and projects and stories to tell, Greg. That's what
Yeah,
excites me.
yeah, no doubt. There's one of these stories that particularly hits home, so I'm pretty excited about talking to folks about that.
Eh, Yes, we had a great pre-show conversation today. We got Amanda and Allie behind the scenes making it happen, producing Clay's producing today's show. I'm thinking of our dear friend, the dog. Clay
Yeah,
Phillips is on the road this week, right?
yeah. Well, just to be clear, Allie's a dog. Also,
That's right.
she's a recent UGA grad, brand new, former intern, now brand new employee, and we have employees. Man, we're getting big.
Oh well, it's been great to see all their significant contributions to our growing mission here. And today
Undoubtedly.
is just the latest installment. So, by the way, Greg is also on the road. Greg, where are you tuned in from?
I am tuned in from West Virginia, Mountain Mama. So
That is a lyric,
Blue
I
Ridge
believe.
Mountains and the Shenandoah River right outside. Actually, I am sitting atop a pretty nice hill overlooking this beautiful hillside, and down there I see just a little slice of golf course. So, so I'm at a cousin's house in West Virginia who has amazing. She works for a financial planning firm, so she has amazing internet at her
Hmm.
house, so she could work from home during the pandemic. And um, drove the extra 14 miles to stop by, say hi, and use their internet.
Country roads, right? I'm
Yeah.
fight myself from breaking into
Oh yeah.
song
Well, we heard
throughout.
it twice on the way up. So on Pandora, there's a July 4th channel. And if you like Toby Keith and the Eagles and
John Denver.
what's that?
John Denver.
Of course, yeah. And Lee Greenwood, must have heard um, Lee Greenwood, not just the song everyone knows, but Lee Greenwood a half dozen times. I didn't realize how many songs he had about America. But
Well,
also Don McLean, American Pie, and ah, two of my favorites, James Brown, Living in America, great song. And of course, oh my gosh, uh, God bless America.
that's right.
Bless America. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. By Ray Charles. Man,
Oh,
it
that's
got a
awesome.
little dusty in the car when we were driving, listening to that. So
Wonderful. Well, before we get down to get to work here today, let's say hello to a few folks that are also tuned in
yeah.
from a wide variety of places. Srini with us via India. Srinivas, hope this finds you well here today. Of course, Peter Bolay, all night and all day. PB, hope you're doing well. Azalea, speaking of
Hey,
West Virginia,
yeah.
she is.
Welcome back.
That's
Yeah.
right. Great to see you, Azalea. Look forward to catching back up with you this week. Let's see. Tanya is back. Well, I want to say Tanya was with us on maybe one of the last IBM sessions or RLA sessions. But regardless, Tanya, great to have you back via LinkedIn here today. Nanda. Now, Greg, did you see the
Yeah.
news? Nanda has been promoted, I believe, as a new chief supply chain officer, if I'm not mistaken, at his organization. So, Nanda, congrats.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Hopefully, y'all have had a chance to stop and celebrate that news. Mervin is back with us via LinkedIn. He's got a new headshot. Mervin, how you doing? Uh,
Wow.
it looks
That's
looks
styling. I wish we could make that bigger.
yes. Well,
That's pretty
Mervin,
styling.
love the shot, love the
Yeah.
jacket.
He gets best dressed, at least in his headshot
That's
so
right.
far, right?
Sabash is with us via LinkedIn. It says, good afternoon, supply chain minds. Well, great to have you here today via LinkedIn. Gregory, hello, also via LinkedIn. Hey, if y'all can, I know there's a little bit of a delay, but let us know where you're tuned in from. We've
Yeah.
really enjoyed kind of putting pins across the globe, and Peter sharing some good news great clean bill of health received today. That is great news.
It's funny what becomes news when you're retired, isn't it, Peter? Right?
Yes.
Glad to hear it.
So let's see. Oh gosh, my fingers are having a hard time keeping up.
You want me to take every other one? Holy mackerel. Jeff.
Great to see you, Jeff. Jeff, of course, leads the ASCM chapter down in Savannah, beautiful Savannah. Hope this finds you well,
Probably
Jeff.
pretty toasty, Savannah. You're going to get wet later, Jeff, by the way.
That's right. Let's see here. Rumbudzai,
that would be my guess.
I think you're right, Greg. From Zimbabwe, tuned in via LinkedIn. Great to see you. And hello, everybody. So, Andrea, Ziggy, you name it, a bunch of folks here today. So we got to dive in. So, Greg, are you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's talk.
All right. So, up first, we got to pay a few bills, right? We got to talk about the webinar on July 27th. This is part of our Digital Transformers series. We got the one and only Kevin L. Jackson, right? Talk about Titans. Kevin L. Jackson.
The hardest working man in show business, right?
That's right. Fresh off his the recording of his new reality show. So more, stay tuned on that. So Kevin, we have Dr. Swink from Texas Christian University, TCU, and of course our dear friends from Esker, this time Nick Carpenter. So join us on July 27th, 1 p.m. And we're talking about how digital transformation not only accelerates and optimizes your supply chain, but my favorite part of this, I'm looking forward to the conversation, it strengthens it. And on the heels of a story we're going to be talking about here today, Greg, we're going to need all of the supply chain strengthening that we can get, right?
Yeah, it is amazing how tightly woven digital transformation and supply chain is. In fact, Scott, week before last, when I was in Wichita, I met with president and the supply chain leaders, the leaders of the supply chain school, for lack of a better term, program at Wichita State, and they are combining their digital transformation and supply chain into a common practice, if you will. And man, after seeing what that campus has in terms of corporate partnerships and advanced research and that sort of thing, it's going to be a venerable program, and that it's tied directly to tech is going to be a huge advantage. So many, even some of the leading supply chain programs, they're more operational, let's say, right?
Yep.
So
we're going to be
interesting to watch these schools evolve over time.
That's right. We're going to hear more from Wichita State in the future, as we're going to be having our dear friend Mohib and some of the students join us on a live stream. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, July 27th, the link to register is in the show notes. Let's see here. Next up is the Supply Chain Insights Global Summit, September 7th through the 9th, 2021, right around the corner. Now, this is a hybrid event, Greg, but as we've talked about before, we're very pleased to be serving as the exclusive streaming partner for the digital version of the event. So you've got to register. It's not free, but for about 2.5 days, there's going to be some heavy hitters that are leading conversations about how they're driving change in their own parts of the global business world. And, of course, we're going to have our remote attendees really be a big part of the conversation. So you can learn more at supplychaininsightsglobalsummit.com. Yeah,
I mean, truth be told, it's not free and it's not cheap either. But if it doesn't work for you and your personal or even your business budget, this is the kind of event your chief supply chain officer, VP of supply chain, CEO, CFO, even those kind of people, of course, vice presidents, directors, whatever, when in talking to Laura Cesari, who runs this, so enough said, is it worth the money? Absolutely. It's generally going to be director level in one or more supply chain practices and above that really get a tremendous amount of value. It's practitioners, it's service providers, it's no vendor pitches whatsoever.
Right.
It's
no
all
sponsorships.
Value added. Right.
Yep.
So super powerful stuff. She's been doing it for, is this the 10th year?
Something like that. I think it's close.
She's been doing it for a good while. It's the most neutral the most complete, the most challenging, frankly. I mean, I think we all know Laura's not going to hesitate to challenge anyone, and most knowledgeable that you can find.
Agreed.
Sure.
So learn more, Supply Chain Insights, globalsummit.com, and join us. Okay, a little departure here. So we love getting tons of pictures from all of our dear friends across the globe. And we want to encourage you to keep them coming. So this is our dear friend, Corey Comer, and this is his dog, Hamilton. Now, he sent this shot in because I was jealous of all these places he's going and these dishes he's cooking. So I asked him, I said, where's this at? And he says that in this case here, and this is from a week or two ago, that their campsite was on the other side of Independence Pass from the famous Aspen, Colorado. He says he always thinks of Dumb and Dumber when he's walking through Aspen. And this is on the top of Grayback Peak. I think he's got an altitude just under 10,000 feet, and it's near Pikes Peak. So Hamilton looks pretty happy, Greg. I don't know.
Is it happy or is it hungry? Nonetheless, I'm glad we're behind the camera.
Yes, so. That's right. Well, Corey is in Montana this week, so Corey, best safe travels.
Yeah, that's right.
The pictures coming. And Greg, the good stuff doesn't stop there. So this is Ale, who may be with us here today.
Man.
So, we kicked off this supply chain chow fun project that starts with Facebook. We may take it from there. But it's an open group with one main goal, just to kind of celebrate our love for food, right? So if you're a culinary passionista, come check us out. Amanda, if we can drop the link in there. So this is from Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. And Ale, as y'all can tell there, posted some great pictures from her meal at Ozone. And Greg, this hits us about the right time, right? I'm ready to dive in. How about you?
Well, right time or wrong time? I just need 2 minutes. I want that sandwich.
Right.
There. That looks pretty darn tasty.
I like the pizza here.
Yeah, that does look pretty cool, doesn't it? Yeah.
But regardless, hey, send us your pics, join the groups, be social, be human. We love talking supply chain. We're going to keep it coming, talking supply chain, global business like we will here just today. But we've all learned how important relationships are over the last 18 months. And part of those relationships are where you spend your downtime. And for us, we love food and we love to travel. So y'all join Supply Chain Chow, the Facebook, if you love food. And if you don't love food, well, hey, just send us pictures of your journeys. That'd be great too. Okay, Greg. Let's say hello to just a couple quick folks, and then we're going to dive into our first story. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, man, a lot of people working, even in the States, on the holiday, or at least tuning in with us, so that's good.
Always. So Gregory mentioned he's from Trinidad and Tobago, in a beautiful Caribbean region.
What a beautiful place that is.
Absolutely. David, hope this finds you well. Joining in from Ontario. We've got Kim Winter tuned in from UAE. Kim, hope this finds you well. I've been loving some of these conversations we've had with you here lately.
Kim Winter, hot in UAE. Now, I think we talked to Kim on New Year's Eve one day, right?
Yep.
And it was hot there then as well. So
it's warm.
My question, Kim, is when is it not?
That's right.
We'll be there then.
So Tanya tuned in from Savage, Minnesota, near Bloomington in the Minnesota Mall of America. Omer from Saudi Arabia. Welcome, Omer, via LinkedIn. Great to have you here. John Martinez from the beautiful city of San Antonio. John, great to have you here. And it's his first time. So, Greg, we'll have to sing my tune. It's his first time. Towards the end of the show, right?
Yes. I used to be able to sing the Incarnate Word fight song. So Incarnate Word College is an all Spanish private college in the San Antonio area. Not really fight song. It was their alma mater, but
love that. And Azalea and Rambidazai are both confirming kind of the key message we just were communicating a second ago. Supply chain relationships, they're kind of a big deal, and certainly have gotten be a bigger big deal here in recent months. Okay, so Greg, let's dive into the news.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go?
I am ready to go.
All right.
As we talked about, one of these stories hits very close to business. I would say very close to home, but it hits very close to business.
So let's talk about up first what everybody's talking about, right? Is this massive ransomware attack from last Friday. So, Greg, I'm going to kind of tee this up and share a couple things, and I want to get your take on this. So, according to NPR and the Associated Press, cybersecurity teams have been working in overdrive over the weekend to try to contain the impact of what folks are calling the largest single ransomware attack on record. Thousands of victims, probably tens of thousands of victims across 17 countries have been impacted. Now, the angle of attack, Greg, was focused largely on penetrating the firms that remotely manage IT infrastructure.
Right.
But one of the biggest victims, I bet most folks here have heard mentioned, is Coop, a Swedish.
Co-op.
What's that?
Co-op.
Co-op.
Oh, co-op.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah. Man, co-op. You learn something new every day.
It literally is a co-op, Scott. It's a cooperative grocery chain. So.
That makes sense.
Huge.
Well, no kidding. So they're a Swedish grocery chain, and it's closed 800 stores for the last couple of days because their point-of-sale systems, their cash registers, have been down. They've been impacted. Experts are claiming, is it Reveal, spelled like evil, but Reveal maybe?
Reveal. I think it's Reveal, yes. I don't know. I've never heard of them before. We need Kevin L. Jackson here. Kevin, sound off. Let us know.
Well, this group, REVIL, they're
let's go with that.
Yes, supposed to be behind the attack. It's the same outfit. If y'all remember, about a month or so ago, JBS, the massive meat processor. Well, they were successful in extorting about $11 million from JBS. So heck, why not do it again, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
Revel offered a deal. You got your deal making.
Yeah, let me break out my calculator and see if it's worth it. Yeah.
So Sunday night, the perpetrators supposedly offered a deal, $70 million for a universal decryptor software key. Now, Greg, before I get your take, it's also been reported that the sheer size and scope of this attack has gotten so big, too big even, for the hackers to manage it, which is one of the reasons why folks are saying, hey, or why the hackers are saying, hey, give us $70 million and we'll just cure everybody rather than do company by company. So, Greg, fascinating in a bad and intriguing way, but what's your take here?
Well, it's a tragedy that somebody you pay to manage your IT infrastructure allows this to happen. And I think it goes to the kind of discipline that, we talked about it just a couple of weeks ago with Kevin Jackson, right?
Right.
It goes to accentuate that discussion. And we were talking about how they might come in through companies that would be less likely to be secure. These companies, in my opinion, have no excuse. And it's a travesty that it happened that way. I mean, you usually think of the kind of backdoor way through the person you pay through QuickBooks who sweeps the parking lot or whatever. I could see that. That's how it happened for Target, somebody like that, right?
Right.
But for someone like this who is entrusted with your data to have this happen, that's unconscionable. Frankly, it's unconscionable both for the service provider and for co-op, for instance, or the other companies that were infected, to not have done the diligence to assure that they had the security to support their systems. So I don't know if all of those, I can tell you that all of those 800 stores are not in Sweden. So those stores are in Sweden and Norway and Denmark and elsewhere in Northern Europe and Scandinavia, because you can't support 800 stores in Sweden. There's just not enough people, right? So this is a massive international issue. And it's, again, it's a tragedy that it happened. The other thing is you cannot pay the ransom. Colonial Pipeline paid the ransom and didn't get the fix. The fix that the attackers gave them didn't work, and they had to back up from 2 or 3 days prior. So, and the government, I don't know what everybody knows about the Colonial thing, but of course, fuel was shut down in the Southeast for a good long time. And then the FBI claimed they got the money back. which they did not. We got 2.7 million of the total back, which is just over half, but they did not get it all back. So you cannot win in this situation. You should be able to rely on those backups and go back and secure your system to do it. But if you pay them, everyone's seen a kidnapping movie, right? All you do is encourage them.
Well, think about, not to be too simplistic, but think about when you got away with some things as a kid. You went back and did more and did it bigger. If no one's, if no one's there to stop you, right? And we were, a month or so ago, we're going back even to the Colonial Pipeline, which is more closer to almost 2 months ago. We were talking about how we were afraid there's going to be a lot more of this, right? And unfortunately, to John's question, is anything really digitally safe these days? David says, pencil and paper. So David, thanks for keeping the comedy quotient today.
Yeah.
But Greg, we do have our work cut out for us, right? And despite the U.S. government's best effort, using the bully pulpit, some of the task forces set up, a lot of potential for things to get really out of hand really quick. And one last point, Greg, and I'd love for you to weigh in before we move to the next story. I saw where I guess the Biden administration had mentioned, hey, these X amount of sectors are off limits. I'm not sure of kind of the signal that, what does that say about all the other sectors? So I think from just a policy standpoint, how do we attack it and rein this cyber terror in? We've got our hands full here, right?
I'm not sure what saying anything does for anything. Honestly, I think our government has proven inept over many, many decades of protecting us from these kind of things, or it would be done, right? We have literally billions of dollars going into the NSA and the FBI and other TSA and other organizations that are built specifically to protect us from this, that should be focusing their efforts on these things that aren't. So it sounds like a pretty hollow threat to me. Yeah. It's been hollow for the decades we've been making it.
Right.
I don't think there's anything new about this administration that gives them the instantaneous ability to enforce that. So
yeah,
meaningless words like most politicians.
Right. It's gonna take a global crackdown and a commitment to do that. My fear is that certain bad actors may be using this as a counterweight in global politics, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
That's undoubtedly the case.
Yeah.
We can't confirm it here.
Right.
But it's too deep and too broad. I mean, they attacked 17 countries. Essentially, I see this as a warning shot, probably by the Russians, to the U.S. to say, we could do the same thing to you. Right. And, I just don't think that there's just like anything else. These companies need to protect themselves. They cannot lean on the government to protect them. That is not going to happen.
Excellent point. So we'll see how this continues to ripple out, and hopefully we get all these companies back online where at least commerce can take place, and we can figure out a plan to make it stronger and more resilient. We'll see. A lot more to come. All right, so Greg.
Yes, sir.
Maybe a little bit easier of a topic. I don't know. This is kind of one that touched home on your end. I'm going to tee this up. So, speaking of demands, talking about folks making demands, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Amazon is asking quite a bit from its suppliers, as in equity opportunities on the cheap. So at least a dozen, according to the journal article here, at least a dozen publicly traded companies have given in to this ask, which is where Amazon gets rights to buy stock at a future date at what might be below market prices. Now, that's on the publicly traded company side. Over the past decade, the journal says that Amazon has struck these types of deals with over 75 privately held companies. So if I'm interpreting this right, Greg, and please share more, these companies are wanting to do business with Amazon, and it's including this ask as part of the overall relationship framework. Is that right?
That's right. And it's not a new practice. I'm intimately aware of how this relationship works. And in some cases, it's even more invasive than that. It is shares of the company at a near zero price, not of public companies, but of these private companies, of which they say there are 75 or so. I happen to know one of them very intimately without revealing any confidentiality agreement.
Right.
Everything I say here may or may not be protected by confidentiality agreement. I must therefore be very, very vague. So, so I have intimate knowledge of taking a share of the company with these warrants that were talked about in the article of upwards of 20% of the company. In some cases, as they talked about in the article, it makes them the largest shareholder in the company. They have laid claim to most favored nation status, which arguably in some cases is unethical or illegal. It just depends on your point of view, meaning no matter what the best price is you give to any other customer, you have to also give that to Amazon, regardless of their, or else you have to justify the reason for not giving them that, which takes considerable diligence. And also claiming the actual IP of the company has occurred.
Wow.
As far as I know, as well. So it's pretty oppressive. It's not the first time it's happened, by the way. Other big companies who were big well before Amazon have done it as well. But yeah, it's, when you have the power, as my other cousin who we're staying with said, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So,
well,
that, but it's an absolute fact. I mean, why would you not do that?
Right.
Their argument is you're going to get a lot of good press from us being your vendor, and you're going to get business and presumably profit from that, and we want a piece of that.
Yeah.
In reality, by the way, people, the truth is what you get is a logo on your website that you can say almost nothing about. This has been my experience in working with big companies. And it costs you, as some of us have in recent history experienced, it costs you 4 to 5 times as much to support a company of that magnitude than it does the companies that you can actually profit from. So you have to decide, do I want the logo or do I want profit? It is almost always a mutually exclusive relationship.
Man. Okay. A lot of powerful take, and I appreciate you shedding some of your what you know to be a fact light on it. Peter Bollet offers a very technical analysis of this practice.
Oh boy,
it's horse puckies. So John.
Well, Peter was in procurement at Air Canada. Just imagine if they required Airbus to give them 20% of the company to fly for Air Canada to fly Airbuses.
It's unbelievable. John Martinez, can you say monopoly? Azalea agrees with John there. Let's see here. Robotics talks about how Amazon is filthy rich, and Simon Joyner, hello Simon, says get Amazon off. So I like how you put that there.
Brilliant.
Let's see here. Also, Roombidzai says, I think big companies do that because they're the ones dominating. It kind of echoes what Greg has shared.
Yes, they do it because they can.
Right. All right. So I want to put one last comment here. So Tanya says, and we're talking about a Wall Street Journal article, folks, on the topic of Amazon asking for the opportunity to gain ownership at a reduced price, oftentimes in the public realm and the private realm, for that matter. Tanya says, I'm having this fear now with all the banks that partner and umbrella under each other with digital banking and with all the digital global credit card client payment services projects that I am not seeing the Sec DevOps teams and the user experience, UX UI subject matters being partnered during testing and demonstrated throughout the cloud. So I think Tanya is her fear, and maybe this goes back to the first story.
Yeah, it does.
Greg.
It's probably alluding to the fact that when security, Sec DevOps, security development operations, and the UX and UI designers have this miscommunication link, they can leave open doors to the technology through the UI of the solution. And it's something you have to keep a very, very close eye on. And it's not easily, you'd think it would be, but it's not easily rectified. So,
Well, thank you, Greg and Tanya. Great insight there. Because if we don't have everybody part of the conversations, we're gonna have some loopholes in our blind spots here.
yeah.
So, as Leah says, she'd like to see Jeff Bezos' retirement plan. I would
We
too.
are his retirement plan, Azalea. I can tell you that. He just keeps selling us stuff.
That is right. Let's see. Mervin says, no offense, but isn't that what incumbents maybe are supposed to do in terms of strategy to oppose emerging threats? M&As are required. Greg?
I think, you are certainly fully within your rights to do that, right?
Yep.
The question is it fair to make that demand? And let me just tell you that demand for shares, unlike the demand of a real principal of a company, comes with no obligation to actually help the company get benefit from partnering with you. It comes with the presumption that the mere fact that your logo becomes part of of that company's marketing, that it will deliver something. If it were a truth and a fact that, and maybe it is in some cases, that Amazon is actually going to do something actively to promote and create value within the company, absolutely.
Yep.
Right. But the truth is they're paying a fair rate for the services they're getting for that company. They're doing nothing more in almost every case. And they are effectively selling the value of their logo for 20% of the company. That's not a good return. I mean, if somebody really thinks about that, it's not a good return.
Yeah.
And it'll come back around. Look, the truth is, it is really folly to go after some of these big accounts and to so disadvantage yourself to do business with a big logo. I mean, people did it with Walmart and then quit doing business with Walmart. People did it I worked for one of the biggest auto parts chains, and WD-40 took themselves off of our shelves because we pressed them too hard. Can you imagine an auto parts store without WD-40? Neither could any one of our 180,000 customers, right? So of course there comes a point when the market pushes back, and it will happen. I think, who said it here? GE, Nokia, Motorola, right? The tide will turn, right? I think it was Judy, maybe.
Well,
yeah, Sylvia. Yeah. Motorola, Nokia, General Electric, the list goes on. When absolute power turns to absolute disaster.
Yes.
Right.
That is certainly a t-shirt-ism there. Absolute power turns to absolute disaster. Very nice, Sylvia. Almost as nice as that charcuterie.
Charcuterie. Right. Also, I think I saw Sylvia. I really appreciate it. I think she said there may be a jar of peach preserves or jam awaiting me.
Very nice, man. Sylvia, I got to get your good graces somehow. But
we'll share this jar, Scott. Okay? We'll do the product opening together.
There we go.
We'll share this jar because now we can. By the way,
right?
I'll bring the toast.
As long as those auto parts stores still have the scratch and sniff things that you hang on your rearview mirror, as long as we've got
Stinky
that.
Trees, yes, yeah.
All right. So, and she also says, "Am I the only person that never used Amazon?"
Yes.
Wow. Sylvia.
It's a very simple answer. Yes, you are the only person that's never used Amazon.
Well, hang on a sec, Peter. You've never used Amazon either. Let us know. Hey, inquiring minds really want to know. Let me know about if you have not used Amazon too. Okay, so Greg, one last to recap here. We're talking about this Wall Street Journal article on Amazon. Hey, kudos to the Wall Street Journal team because they have. This is just like one of the latest kind of deep dive reporting, trying to keep folks honest and informed about what the biggest company here in the States and in the e-commerce world is doing from a partnership standpoint. So good stuff there. All right. So as Greg is getting a Diet Coke from my dear friend off.
Garage door opener for my cousin Steven, who's heading over to the family holiday cookout. He wanted me to be able to shut the garage door when I leave. So
hello, Steven. Thank you very much for allowing your home to be
our
local studio.
Sweet home.
Okay, so let's move to the next story here. There's so much to tackle this week. And just like that, folks, just like that, we might have lost Greg White's connection. So we'll see if he can't jump in here in a minute to continue talking about the buzz across global business. Okay. Well, we might have gained him back. Let's see here. Oh.
Ooh, I like that look.
All right.
I don't know what I did, but whatever.
Well, that's okay. It is Monday.
It
Murphy's
happened.
Law is
it's a holiday. Let's go with that.
right.
Yeah.
Monday is Murphy's Law
Murphy's Law
day.
Monday. I like it.
Yep. Okay. Let's talk about automotive. So let's get past
Do talk about that.
Amazon and let's talk automotive here. All right. So this is actually some good news, I think. So according to IHS Market, Greg,
Yeah.
well-known analysis firm, reported by Reuters, when all the numbers are finalized, all numbers are in, second quarter 2021, global light vehicle production is projected to have grown 50%. So supply issues persist, as we've talked about ad nauseum. Of course, semiconductors, also workforce, due to a variety of issues. So supply issues persist, but those semiconductors, IHS Market projects that the computer chip supply is going to be able to catch back up starting first quarter 2022. Now, that Gartner has projected second quarter 2022. So maybe they disagree, or maybe the situation's getting a little bit better, and they're maybe moving the catch-up period, at catch-up point earlier. I don't know, or sooner. We'll see. But Greg, you can't talk about automotive without talking about the Ford Bronco. 125,000 orders already have been placed, and Ford just cannot make them fast enough. Do you have your order in?
You know what? This is another West Virginia experience. I am now torn as to whether a Ford Bronco is the right vehicle. Because yesterday I drove a brand new Toyota Tacoma TRD off-road with a lift kit.
Yeah.
And it's a superior vehicle. I mean, it's just the vehicles these days, the electronics are these days, like I'm driving a 1925 Model A, but it is stunning how far they've come in just a few years. So I don't have an order in. I have contemplated it, but I'm not one of those people who is going to pay over MSRP. Even in fact, I'm not going to buy a car until car prices come back down, right? So I'm not paying full. I just don't pay full price. That I think that's what my family name means in Gaelic, is we don't pay full price. So.
I believe it. I can speak from personal experience. No, Greg, I believe you. And one of these days, when we got a little free time on our hands, I'd love just to grab some popcorn and Diet Coke and watch you go buy a car. I think it would be must-see TV. But I've had people ask me to buy their car for them, and I enjoy it. They hate it, but I enjoy it. I love a car dealership. It's harder now because they don't really want to negotiate, but there are always times that you can. That's a whole separate show, Scott Luton. But okay,
we got to do that show.
Definitely.
How to buy a car.
David says he's going to be sending you a pic of Devil Dice, which I think is his Jeep when it comes out of the shop next week. David is an off-roading enthusiast, I think is what you call. And he's really good, though. I know it says it's in the shop. I think he does a lot of work of his own on his Jeep. Let's see here. Azalea says, in West Virginia, a good truck gives you 300,000 miles before you have to use a screwdriver to start your engine every day.
Seriously, Azalea. The vehicle that was traded in on this Tacoma was, I don't know what year, but it was a Tundra, and it had 265,000 hard miles. I mean, real off-roading. So,
Yep.
in West Virginia, they have a ton of oil production. And of course, the oil wells are in the toughest place to get to. I mean, this thing was beat up, but it went 265. So.
Nice. Well, Peter Bollet, a great point. And we'll see if we can't get a real number on this. Meaningless unless they add a real number. Excellent point.
What is it? Whoever said it, let's just attribute it to Mark Twain. I don't think that's right. There's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics.
Yes.
Right. So
Uh,
that's absolute truth. You can make anything look any way you want, just how you present the numbers.
Excellent point. Michael Avra, great to see you back, Michael. I know you've
Yeah.
been busy. He says manufacturers are caught in the middle. Do they increase production and stand to have excess inventory, or keep lean while not being able to meet demand? Well, with all these empty car lots, I think there's been that decision's been made for them according to many automotive experts. But the other thing, Greg, is this inventory, just the all time the inventory of available cars. Speaking to those empty lots, I mean, I haven't seen a year affixed to it in terms of how low is this? Is this the lowest we've seen in 10 years or 25 years? But man, driving past the car lots here in the last couple weeks, man, the eye test is it's got to be one of the lowest points in recent memory.
So production has not been necessarily lower. Production completion has been necessarily lower. So I have a friend who is the general manager of a GMC dealership, and he showed me a property, I don't even know what it is, that had 15,000 trucks on it that are just waiting for one chip so that they can be started. So we're that close to the numbers just exploding off the chart. But it's those semiconductors. And again, the automakers did it to themselves. They said, you guys go ahead and make these semiconductors, and if we need them, we'll buy them off you. So another one of those relationship and transparency issues in supply chain that needs to be solved. And it's the problems that we see as a consumer are much like the problems that you see if you're doing a business process analysis. The problem isn't where you see it. The problem is back upstream somewhere, right?
Excellent
and usually
point.
a bad decision or bad process. In this case, it seems like it's almost always bad decisions have caused it.
Excellent point there. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll continue to. The automotive industry is such an important sector for global business and many other things. It's one of those industries that have, when it moves or when it doesn't move, the ripple effect is pretty big. So we'll see how this plays out. Let's talk about, Greg. I think these stories were almost handpicked for Gregory White here today, because this last story I know you're going to be able to speak to quite a bit.
Yes.
So speaking of record-breaking activity, Gregory White, the supply chain tech M&A market seems to be in overdrive just as much. Deals are everywhere. According to Supply Chain Dive, Zebra is going to be acquiring Fetch Robotics. Now, it already had a 5% stake in the company, and they've done plenty of business before. But now Zebra wants it all, and it's going to be acquiring the rest of Fetch, the 95%. It's going to cost about $290 million. The warehouse automation market, though, kind of speaks to this warehouse automation market. It's been a hot one for years, even before the pandemic. But as the article points out, the pandemic accelerated demand for warehouse tech, mainly due to workforce constraints, right? We think about social distancing, which really productivity, amongst other things, took a hit. But also, let's say even in a perfect world with no pandemic, still hiring and retaining workers in these facilities, warehouses, fulfillment centers, and the like, has been really tough. But Greg, what are you seeing here?
Well, I mean, we've been trying to automate warehouses for a good amount of time because of the cost of labor. Now we're trying to automate warehouses because of the availability of labor, and it's both costly and difficult to attain labor to do this. Frankly, warehouses are in many aspects of the warehouse, they are much better run by robots. In fact, in Norway, in Sweden, anyway, I have seen portions of warehouse that are what they call lights out. They are completely robotic, and only the exceptional portions of the work, the exceptionally minute portions of the work are even done by human beings. In a 700,000 square foot facility, 14 people work. And now it's hard to get 14 people into a 700,000 square foot facility. I mean, we keep going to the 3Ds that supply chain and manufacturing are often hindered by dark, dirty, and dangerous, the perception of the workforce that it is all of those things. So, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. The technology market, can we shift gears to that just a little bit? The technology market is silencing. It is incredibly hot. I have seen companies that I'm involved with. I have seen companies that I observe, and seen companies that I have never even heard of go for exorbitant amounts of money. There's a company, Bring, BRIN, with 2 G's, of course, because they're technology, so you have to misspell your name. They became anointed as a unicorn recently, based on their investment. And you're seeing these kind of deals being done at, in the fairly recent past, a technology company, which is usually, we'll call it startup or early growth stage. They're usually not profitable. They're usually growing very rapidly, but still have relatively few customers. But if you have $5 or $10 million worth of revenue, you could expect in the past to get somewhere between 7 and 12 or 15 times revenue as your purchase price. Now those same companies are worth 20 to 45 times their revenue in terms of valuation. And I've actually seen deals done at a 44 times revenue multiple. Wow. So the opportunity is incredible right now. And that is because, as we all know here, the world has awakened to the importance of supply chain. They have, as we discussed earlier in the show, they have awakened to the fact that technology is critical to what is required to make supply chain happen, from a visibility and a transparency and predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics or recommendations, right? All of those things, robotics, optimization, all of those things require technology. And as not only supply chain has come into the forefront of people's minds, but also as people have been staying away in droves from work, then technology becomes the de facto resource. So we're going to see more. We're going to see more, at least until, which is now inevitable, I believe, but at least until the U.S. government makes it unfeasible to continue to invest in companies, which is probably coming by the end of this year.
Well, on a much lighter note here, Charles Heater, I hope this finds you well. Charles, great to have you today. He says, so our future job growth is nursing and maintenance engineers. Charles, who knows? We'll see.
I don't think it's that at all. I think it's, I think it is managing, it is doing what human beings are really, really good at. Frankly, maintenance engineers, a lot of that can be done by robots as well, and is being done by robots in some cases. But these are the features that human beings, and Scott, you and I have talked about this a lot with veterans and supply chain professionals, the ability to take insufficient data instantaneously and make a life or death or very important decision is uniquely human, because all of these technologies that we talk about take inordinate amounts of data to be able to do what they do. And without that data, not useless, but not nearly as effective as a human being. So as long as there are parts of the business where we lack sufficient data to have built a thesis in a technology, and it needs a rapid decision or a creative decision, and that decision is highly, highly important, those are the jobs that humans will be doing, which are much, much more satisfying for us. So I think it's a great thing.
Excellent point. All right. So we were talking about Zebra's decision to buy Fetch Robotics. They already own 5%. They're buying the remaining 95% for a nice, cool $290 million.
Yeah. So for less than $1 billion, believe it or not, folks, that is a bargain. Yeah. For a supply chain tech company. And
Greg was also speaking to kind of the bigger picture market for M&A activity, especially from a technology standpoint. Okay, so I'm going to go backwards now. We've got a few minutes here. I'm going to go backwards. I want to cherry pick some of these comments here. Going back to automotive, I think always sparks a lot of opinions. Charles Walker. Charles, hope this finds you well, man. We're going to do Veteran Voices episode soon. Look forward to it. He says, I'm with you, Greg. Never pay full price for a car. Only buy a car if you want it, not when you need it. That's a great point because, Greg, if you're not willing to walk away, they got you, right?
Cool. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, they've got you on used cars as well. So part of the reason that this Tacoma got bought and the Tundra got turned in is because they offered on a $265,000 car something like $14,000, whereas the book value of that car was like $7,700. At least this is what my cousin tells me, $7,700 just months before. So cars, even used cars, are not a bargain. It is not the time to buy a car unless you absolutely have to have it. And by the way, this is the way in which markets work, right? We reach this equilibrium level where people won't pay the price, and therefore the prices have to come down, which, by the way, it already has come down on things like lumber. Lumber is already coming down from its peak because people have slowed their building of houses and their home improvement projects because of that price. So that's the beautiful thing about economics.
Right. And hey, if you got an extra car these days, now's the time to sell it. Use a bike. Sylvia Judy says, the only time I bought a brand new vehicle was in 1993, a Cayman green.
I know exactly what color
Ford
that
Ranger.
It was a metallic.
It got 63 miles from the dealership floor until a Ford Mustang ran a red light and totaled the Ranger and sent me to the hospital, she says. Since then, I buy all my cars gently used. Well, Sylvia, man.
We're glad you made it. First of all, not just because of the jam, but we're glad that you made it, and also smart decision, buy your cars 2 to 3 years old.
Excellent. And Mervyn says a great point here, something I got to check out. He says, Charles, you can just rent one or buy a miles subscription to get rid of the hassle of ownership. And he says Leases is an example, so I'll have to check out what Leases does. Now, one of my favorite comments here, because we were talking about POs earlier, back to your point about these automotive companies, they just expected to have what they needed without any commitment. Peter says, issue the damn PO like the Canada government letters of agreement don't mean nutcrackers. Issue the PO. Excellent point, and well stated.
That's awesome.
It really is. Let's see here.
I have a feeling that was what was going through TSMC's mind, the Taiwan Semiconductor Company, TSCM, whatever the acronym is. But I'm sure that was what was going through their mind. They're going, issue the PO, and we start building. Right.
There you go. Andre, I hope this finds you well. Says supply and demand at its very best.
Yes, ma'am.
Michael says lumber is a huge discount right now, just like you mentioned.
Even. Okay.
Yeah, how about that? She also said, Andre says, used cars are maybe the best way to buy a car. That's why the unicorn company, is it Kavak?
Never heard of it. It must be a Mexican company, so we'll have to check it out.
Yes. Well, Andre, I hope this finds you well, and please tell Sophia we said hello too. I've seen y'all have y'all continue to churn out great content, and we love to have your participation here at Supply Chain Now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, as Leia says, she's going back to the old school way. She's going to be, and maybe she's kidding, getting my milk delivered again. How about that, Greg? I wonder if that's the good stuff with the half inch of cream up at the top.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out.
We shall find out.
Where in West Virginia is Azalea? Or is she's not still in West Virginia? She's from there, correct?
I think she's still there. She's looking at moving. She's in the market, as is her significant other. And I think not to say too much here, but I think she's looking at Tennessee. Last time I chatted with her, but tremendous talent there. Y'all go check out the episode where she and I sat down. So much goodness that she shares. We got to reconnect soon. Okay, so Greg, I've got 12:54 our time. We both, with you on the road and me getting back from vacation and Murphy's Law wanting to play in the sandbox today, we've had our hands full, haven't we?
I think we've done pretty good. I have to tell you, no offense to my relatives or Azalea, but being in West Virginia for this is a little bit scary because with all of these hills, it really is hard to get a cell signal. It is a beautiful place if you want to get off the grid. It is beautiful. And a West Virginia dog is a delicious thing.
Okay, look here, Greg. You and Vicky have got to get some snapshots. Y'all are in a beautiful culinary state and a beautiful state from a variety of perspectives.
No doubt.
Got to see some pictures. If no pictures, means it
didn't happen. All right. Well, we've got them, but we usually publish them post-trip. So, yes.
Okay. Fayette County. About 45 minutes from Beckley.
I know where that is. Yeah. Beckley is the biggest speed trap at least in West Virginia, maybe on the entire planet. Basically, welcome to West Virginia. Here's your ticket.
Mervin, going back to a few comments ago, says Leasis is a platform operational in 12 countries for short, medium, and long-term rentals, used car online sales, and it's owned by the Stellantis Group, comprising of 15 brands like Fiat and many others. How about that?
Wow. As long as you don't have to drive any of those brands of cars, that could be a real bargain. I'm not sure a Fiat could last through a whole rental.
Really?
No kidding. The one time we got stopped significantly on the roadway here, a Fiat had broken down in the left-hand lane. So,
really?
Yeah, like a Fiat 500. So
okay.
I thought maybe they'd be better. But.
All right. Well, we want to see pictures of food. So to recap today's episode, join us for the webinar, July 27th.
Yes.
Join our Supply Chain Chow Facebook group. We've had some interesting shares. We want to see more recipes, but we've had some great shares thus far in a week or so we've had it open. To recap the news we talked about here today, Greg, let's see. We talked about the massive ransomware attack. We talked about Amazon looking to get a piece of the action from many of its suppliers looking to do business with them. We talked about automotive. Supposedly, production second quarter 2021 has grown dramatically, looking for more numbers there. And we've talked about the supply chain tech and general tech M&A.
Yeah.
The M&A activity there has been an overdrive with valuations, as Greg mentioned, up to 44x revenues. Man,
insanity, isn't it?
It really well. It's insanity in a good crazy crazy way.
Yeah, maybe so.
If you're
selling, right?
That's right.
I saw an article. I think it was Wall Street Journal. Also, everybody or so many people are starting to say it's an everything bubble now, right? I mean, if you think about how many things are the stock market, right? Private companies, lumber, housing, automobiles, it is kind of an everything bubble now. So it's going to be an interesting ride.
Absolutely.
In the second half of this year.
Absolutely. So on that note, let's free up Greg to pursue a wide variety of
I got to go move chairs. Yeah. Or my uncle's going to be hacked.
Well, hey, thanks so much. All the great comments and perspectives and observations shared across the comments. So I really appreciate that. We look forward to reconnecting with many of y'all. Stay tuned. Join us. Let's see here. This week, Greg, we've got a couple of live streams teed up. We've got Mike Griswold with Gartner Wednesday at 12 noon. And we've got the manufacturing leadership live stream on Friday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At 12 noon. So y'all get ready for that. And Greg, hopefully you have a great quick trip to West Virginia and back. What's one key piece of advice as we wrap here today, whether you're speaking to founders or entrepreneurs, or maybe you're speaking to fellow supply chain practitioners out there, but give us some patented Greg White words of wisdom as we wrap up today's episode.
You know, it's something I discovered over the month of June because, as you know, I hit the road for a speaking engagement and then for some other things and for this incubator that I'm working with in Wichita, and then this trip. Don't underestimate the power of being in front of people. I almost forgot it could be like that, where one word, one glance, one interpersonal interaction, one additional question, the reading of someone's body language, or the walk to the water cooler can be so powerful in solving problems. We literally, because you're think about this, you don't have to log on. You're always on. If you see, as I did, Kurt Gridley, the founder of Groover Labs, the incubator we're talking about, I saw him. I just rounded the corner and I saw him, and I was just like, hey, Kurt, what if we did this? And he went, yeah, let's do that. Done. Right. Problem solved. Opportunity captured. Right. Future changed just like that. It is so, so powerful. And we've been talking a lot about the power of being in person and whether people will go back to offices. And, I think it depends on your job, right? I've been working remote since 2000 when I started 3 companies ago, really. But I've been working remote at least some of the time since that time. And I can tell you that it is super powerful to be in front of people. And it is so encouraging, and it is so empowering, and it's so enlightening. All those E's. And I say, go out there and capture your E's.
Be like Easy E. Well, hey, get in person and be present. Appreciate you sharing that here today, Greg. It'll be neat to start to enjoy that more and more as we hopefully, as a global society, get more firmly into post-pandemic. So, folks, thanks for joining Supply Chain Buzz here today. Join us next week as Supply Chain Buzz is brought to you by Omnia Partners. We're going to be talking about their big September event coming up next Monday. But wherever you are, most importantly, on behalf of the whole Supply Chain Now team and Scott Luton here, hey, do good, give forward, and be the change that's needed. And with that said, we'll see you next time right here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Go.